The most underrated video game of all time is Mickey's Speedway USA for the Nintendo 64. After the streets were taken over by the likes of Mario, Diddy Kong, and Crash Bandicoot, came Mickey, and an insanely colorful and amazing racing game. Mickey's Speedway USA is basically a rip-off of Cruisin' USA, also released for Nintendo 64. But it's cool, because the concept is a little more intriguing that we're driving across the country with Mickey and friends than the random cars from Cruisin' USA. Mickey's Speedway USA was created by Rareware, which explains the high quality of video game this turned out to be. The hub layout and characters from Diddy Kong Racing were inspired by Mickey and the Gang, and Disney World. This just makes things more perfect that they would do a racing game for Mickey. The game is great all around, and it didn't, and still doesn't, get the kind of attention it deserves. The game came out in the year 2000. The Nintendo 64 was still extremely popular, with games like Pokemon Stadium and Banjo-Tooie releasing that year. Despite what video game historians try to tell you, the N64 was not at all on its last legs. Only by late 2001-2002 were people buying and playing the Nintendo GameCube. But 2000 and 2001 mostly belonged to the Nintendo 64. Despite this continued popularity of the 64, the cartoon racing games trend was already conquered by Mario Kart 64, Diddy Kong Racing, and CTR, Crash Team Racing. So maybe by 2000, many people felt tired of its fanfare, but definitely not for anyone who was a kid in the year 2000. For kids at that time, like me and millions of others, Mickey's Speedway USA was the bomb, and I always thought that it was one of the best N64 games. But it still gets often forgotten. When people list the best N64 games, they do list Diddy Kong Racing and Mario Kart 64, but they never list Mickey's fast-turning outing on the N64. The game is left out completely from the conversation. Perhaps this was Disney's fault for not giving Mickey Mouse more attention during the 90s and 2000s. At the time, Mickey was mostly just the mascot for Disney, rather than appearing in lots of new things. In the 90s and early 2000s, Disney were more focused on their other animated feature films, like Pocahontas, Hercules, and Aladdin. But I'd rather it be both. Mickey Mouse could have had a couple of big animated movies in the 90s, rather than one rare short film, Runaway Brain, and The Prince and the Pauper, which both should have been regular 2-hour films. But anyway, Mickey's Speedway USA is one of the coolest things they ever did with the character, and it gets left out of Mickey's lineage and history, as if it's just some random video game that nobody cared about. The game would have became popular if it came out in 1997 or 1998 than the year 2000. Come to think of it, those were the best racing games of the 90s, were Mario Kart 64, Crash Team Racing, Diddy Kong Racing, and Mickey's Speedway USA. They were the big four. Oh, and Snowboard Kids, if you want to include them too. Because the year 2000 really was a part of the 90s. It was the beginning of a new decade, but things were pretty much the same. The magic that was the 90s really ended around 2005-2006. But there was nothing like how great the early 2000s were. We got to experience the new stuff while still getting to live in the old stuff from the 90s. Mickey Speedway USA was one of those games that I would constantly rent from Blockbuster back then, when that used to be a norm for us in that era, renting games all the time. The game has all the stuff you expect from a 3D kart racing adventure on the astounding, greatest game console ever, the Nintendo 64. And then some. You can race as Mickey, Goofy, Minnie, Donald, Pete, and Daisy. One of the things I appreciate about the game is that they gave Mickey a tough-looking expression on his face on the front box art. Why would I say such a thing? Well, because he's cooler looking making that face than just him constantly smiling all the time. Giving him a rough face shows that Mickey's not just some dopey corporate mascot, that he has his moments where he is a badass, like especially when he's the wizard, or how he acted in Kingdom Hearts later on. During the gameplay, Mickey and the gang talk to each other a lot, which is really cool and very charming, but I don't like how they apologize to each other during the race. They are not Sesame Street characters. They shouldn't be doing that. This is a competition. The girls especially do it. Like Minnie Mouse should not be sorry for kicking someone's ass in the race. Like, come on, Minnie. Get a backbone, girl. The graphics are great and very colorful. The items are fairly bland though, and I wish they were more like callbacks to stuff in their previous cartoons, like Pluto's dog bones or something, like the items in Mario Kart 64. And you may not think that DKR, Diddy Kong Racing, had any item callbacks, but the different colored balloons are callbacks to the Donkey Kong Country games for the Super Nintendo. And then CTR, Crash Team Racing, had items based on the Crash trilogy before it. I love the main hub menu of the game, how they show the old-fashioned TV set, because that's how older generations got to grow up watching Mickey and the others back in the 50s and 60s, with the Mickey Mouse Club stuff. And I love choosing the cups with the toy blocks on the floor, because that reminds you of when you were a kid, hanging out at your house in the 90s, or someone else's house, and there would always be blocks or toys on the floor in certain rooms. A very nostalgic and warm and fuzzy feeling it gives you. The basic plot of the game is that the weasels have captured Pluto, and you have to go rescue him. This game only has two flaws, and the first, that still pisses me off to this day, 25 years later, is that you can't play as Pluto. He's the final missing piece to Mickey and the others. They should have let you play as him after rescuing him. That should have unlocked him and allowed you to race as him, the ultimate secret character, Pluto. Other racers they could have added were Mortimer the Mouse, Jose the Parrot, or Panchito Pistols. If Disney watches this video, hopefully they'll make Mickey Speedway USA 2 and add all the other Mickey characters to the roster. Other racers they could add are Clara Cluck, who you may not remember, but she was in a couple of the really old cartoons. They also can add Clarabelle Cow, Horace Horsecollar, Max Goof, and Ludwig von Drake. Speaking of Ludwig, he is the instructor of the game. He's the madman behind the scenes, who is actually responsible for the creation of all the weapons you use in the races. He kind of reminds me of the Professor from Spyro Ripto's Rage. Ludwig may not be familiar to many of you, but he was around in the 1960s, mostly as a narrator, and also told the story of Mickey and the Beanstalk from the film Fun and Fancy Free, and I'm surprised how much they used him back then. But anyway, I hope someone loves this video and makes a ROM hack of Mickey Speedway USA and adds Pluto the dog as a racer. Maybe they were thinking that Pluto wouldn't be a racer because he's a dog, so he wouldn't be able to drive? But Goofy's a dog, and he's able to do it. True, that Goofy's different because he can speak and walks on two legs. But still, if they thought that Pluto shouldn't be able to drive, then why were there toys made in the 2010s and 2020s of Mickey and the Roadster Racers that have Pluto in a car? So now he's able to drive. What was wrong with having him drive back in the 2000s? Ugh, what a waste. Speaking of Roadster Racers, I remember working at Toys R Us. the year that they went bankrupt, and seeing the Mickey Roadster Racer toys in the store. And when I saw them, I got flashbacks of playing Mickey Speedway USA in the 2000s. I thought that it was extremely cool that they did that. I thought that it was a throwback that they created the Roadster Racers, because they were inspired from Mickey Speedway USA. I was like, finally, Mickey is returning to being cool again. Early 2000s Mickey. Like Mickey from House of Mouse again. But no, not really. I also thought that it was a missed opportunity to not make a sequel to Speedway USA. When Roadster Racers first came out, that was the ultimate time to make a new racing Mickey game. But it never happened. But anyway, back to the racers of Speedway USA. It does actually have secret racers to unlock. You can unlock Huey, Dewey, and Louie, Donald's nephews. And you can actually unlock Professor Ludwig von Drake, which is effing impossible, because you have to win everything in the damn game. To unlock Huey, you have to use the N64 Game Boy transfer pack with Mickey Speedway USA for the Game Boy to transfer him to the game, which was super secretive back in the good old days. That was back when they had tons of amazing secrets in video games, where you had to tinker around and explore the game to discover new things. They don't do stuff like that anymore in the new video games. Something about that magic of 2000s video games. So yes, how cool is that? They actually made Mickey Speedway USA for the Game Boy Color. You can also unlock a top super secret racetrack connecting Mickey's racing adventure for Game Boy using the transfer pack to Speedway USA, which, yes, is another racing Mickey game. A very cool one. It's very similar to the N64 game, and it actually came out in 1999. So they expanded on that idea and eventually made the superior Speedway USA for the N64. So yes, during this brief window in time, for 2 years, 1999-2000, Mickey Mouse was a fast racing, super cool character. This was when Mickey had some edge to him. And Mickey had a cool look to him on the box art for his sports video games in the 2000s, with this era of Mickey being a very cool and appealing character, before his embarrassing demise of the Clubhouse era in 2006. The tracks are very good in the game. Each racetrack is a different state in America, and it's funny seeing people's reactions to the different tracks, because I've heard many people say that the tracks don't exactly make you think of these particular states. I wouldn't know. I'm not a traveler kind of person. I could care less about traveling, and I think it's overrated. Now, on to the music. The soundtrack of Mickey Speedway USA is stupendous. The music for every level is really great. This is a seriously underrated game soundtrack, just full to the brim with catchy, charming music that gets you pumped up. I've worked out in the gym listening to the soundtrack of Speedway USA. Some music snobs will view the soundtrack as a bunch of over-glorified, repetitive elevator music, but I love elevator music, so for me, it's a big win. As long as the music is catchy, then that's all that really matters to me in a video game. And boy, is this soundtrack catchy. It makes sense. Rareware always had amazing, memorable video game soundtracks. So why should Mickey Speedway USA be any different? We were so spoiled by how good video games were back then. But you don't have to always reminisce. Just play the old 90s, 2000s video games again. Cause most new video games are not worth your time. If you want the best, and to see how great it was to grow up back then stay in the 2000s. It'll be worth the effort. The game is also custom designed to work with the Rumble Pack so that you can experience the full intense racing feeling. You don't have to worry about that, which is special that it can utilize the Rumble Pack, because not every game for the N64 can use the Rumble Pack. So props to the old 90s Rareware for including it to be used here in Speedway USA. Now to talk about the biggest flaw of the game. It's extremely hard later on. The final 3 cups to race are very intense, and the game expects you to be a master of the wheel to complete them. It's very stingy with your stats. You have to get in first place in every race in order to win the trophy. If you get one race where you place in second, then you may as well just turn the game off. The hardest level by far is Hawaii. It is the hardest racing level I've ever played. It is excruciatingly difficult. They expect you to do endless sharp turns at every corner, and having to dodge the coconuts falling from the tree in the first lap, and then memorize where they've landed by the second and third lap. It's insane, and I become Donald Duck while playing Hawaii in this game. Hawaii also has the best music track in the game. I think the track is amazing, but they gave the best song in the game to the worst track in the game. A major screw-up. I also think the Hawaii level is the best looking level in the game too, but you can't admire how great and colorful the stage looks, because you're too busy trying not to die while playing the damn level. So perhaps the game wasn't super successful and memorable to people because it was not promoted in commercials, magazines, and other ads and things. Why did many not care about this incredible racing game on the N64? To me, it will always be one of the greats. Playing it reminds me of eating McDonald's, watching Cartoon Network, going to Blockbuster, and enjoying the splendor of the N64. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again next time.